Danny Shaver here. I'm the blogger from Girl Living Out the Word. And for those of you who follow my blog, know that I'm doing a video series on modesty. And for those of you who do not follow my blog but would like to, you can do so by clicking on the link below. So this is already my 4th video on my modesty series. And so far we've talked about what is modesty, why is it important, and the modesty of the mouth. If you want to recap on those, you can watch the videos on my channel. Today we will be talking about the modesty of the ears, which ties in really well with what we talked about last week with modesty of the mouth. So, modesty of the ears. What? I found this interesting picture quote thingy, whatever you want to call it, on Facebook the other day. And what it said was, "You are what you listen to." Now, it was an advertisement for some band, but it got me thinking, you are what you listen to. And it made me think, wow, with the modesty thing, if we're not listening to modest music, are we really modest? Or if we're not listening to modest conversations, are we really modest? So modesty with music. This is really hard because everywhere you go, it seems like the music is about sex, drugs, drinking, and the combination of all three in one night, and it's awful. I feel like I'm stuck on my little K-Love island where I'm like positive and encouraging, Matt Maher and Chris Tomlin. I can't leave the island because everything else is scary. There's sharks that are going to eat me, that kind of thing. It's like shark-infested waters of immodesty. That was a nice little metaphor, don't you think? So, what do? Well, the first thing we can try to do is avoid it. And this works to some degree. I mean, avoid it when you can. I'm currently going through the process of deleting songs from my iPod and my iTunes library that aren't modest, that have bad words in it, that I really don't need to be listening to. And now that I think about it, I really don't listen to that much. So just going through and doing what you can. Or when you're in the car and you're the one driving, or you're with your family, you can turn on a positive and encouraging station, like K-Love, and avoid it that way. But I understand that it's impossible to avoid completely. So what do? Well, we can make it modest. There are many clean versions out there of the popular songs, such as Payphone. I didn't even realize that Payphone had swears in it until someone showed me the explicit version, and I was like, oh, ew. But what I loved about that song was the clean version, which I had heard on the radio, and I liked it a lot better than the dirty version. I'm not quite sure why they have the dirty version when the radio version is the clean version. Different tangent. So there are clean versions out there, and they cost the exact same price on iTunes. So you can go and download those there. And another option, if you want to be more creative, you can make it modest yourself. I had a friend, and one day we were really bored last summer, so we made our own version of Nicki Minaj's Starships. It's somewhere on the depths of YouTube. It's the Catholic version of Starships. If you want to find it, you can. It's not my stellar performance ever, but it is pretty fun. And now every time I hear that song, those are the lyrics that pop into my head. Let's go to church, let's go and pray. Now, whenever I hear that, that's what I hear. So, in a way, I made it modest. And another way you can do this is to avoid what others say the song means. It's like from Princess Bride, I do not think that word means what you think it means. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. I'm okay with what I think it means. I've had several friends tell me, no, Danny, that song is not about dancing. That song is about icky, immodest thing. And I'm like, great. So keep it innocent, you know? If you think the song's about dancing, let it be about dancing to you, if that's what helps you. Another problem we run into with modesty of the ears is conversations with friends and conversations with peers, which sadly, this is probably the hardest to avoid because there are friends and there are peers. And how do we do this? Well, what we talked about last week with the gossip situation is suggesting, hey, why don't we pray for them instead? I actually tried this earlier this week, and my friend was kind of taken aback. She was like, okay. But the topic dropped, and we started talking about, like, good things, and we weren't going to engage in the gossip. So it works. It works, guys. I tried it. And so with that, suggesting that, and that way we're not listening to that gossip, because gossip is dirty words, and we're listening to dirty words. That's not making us modest, because our ears aren't modest then. And then the same thing with swearing. try not to swear when you're around your friends. I know it's very easy to get into the habit of swearing when you're with your friends because if that's how they talk. But try being the one that sets the example of the group or sets the tone. I have found actually that a lot of people have stopped swearing around me because I think it's because I flinch every time they do it. And they say a bad word and I'm like, oh, and they're like, oh, sorry, and they don't want to see me flinch anymore, so they stop swearing. It works, guys. It works. So just not engaging in that and setting the example. You don't have to flinch and twitch every time like I do, but just setting that example and choosing not to use those words. And with that, your friends will start to pick up on it, and they'll be like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't use those words. And then it's like, oh, brilliant! We're all modest together. Yay! Okay, so modesty of the ears is really hard. It is so hard because it's the hardest one to avoid. Everywhere you go, you're hearing these icky words, these dirty songs, and it's almost unavoidable. But I just suggest doing the best you can to avoid it when you can. Too many cans in there, but that's okay. So I'd like to close with a Bible verse. So I hope you brought your handy-dandy Bible. Okay, I will be reading from one of the Gospels, Matthew. It is Matthew chapter 18, verse 8 and 9. If your hand or foot causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter into life maimed or crippled than with 2 hands or 2 feet to be thrown into eternal fire. And if your eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter into life with 1 eye than with 2 eyes to be thrown into fiery Gehenna. Okay, so don't actually cut off your ears. We aren't Van Gogh. Was that Van Gogh? Yes, Van Gogh. We aren't Van Gogh, but try to cut yourself off from that music and from that conversation as much as you can. Like I said, it's not completely unavoidable, which is really sad that that's the case, but it's the reality of it. But try to cut off what you can. And that's a nice little segue into what we will be getting into next week is modesty of the eyes. Now don't cut your eyes out, but we're going to try thinking about what we can cut out from our eyes seeing. So we can cut off things that we don't need to be seeing, such as movies or TV shows, stuff like that. Okay, so next week will be modesty of the eyes. And until then, I have contact information. Yay! So, I have a Twitter. I'm getting it, guys. By the end of the series, I'll have it down. And that's Danny Schaefer, my name, at Catholic Glow. Glow is in all caps. And then I have a Facebook page and the link to my blog below. So they're all in the cute little description box down there. So you can click on those and follow those and adventure on my internet pages. And until next time, God bless and have a good day.